Hi guys, today I'm going to be going over the conditional passé, which is something we learned in French 4, and it is used to express how we look back on past situations and compare alternative outcomes. So I know that's a little confusing of a definition, but in English this basically means would have. Some examples are I would have left, she would have given, and we would have won. So we're basically using would have. And this tense is actually pretty easy to form as long as you know your conditional as well as rules in the passé composé. So we take our conditional form of avoir être and we add the participle to the end. So just to review our forms of avoir in the conditional, they are right here. And then we take that participle, which means what we're kind of conjugating the verb, which means you take off that kind of er, ir, re stem, and then we replace it with either an e with an accent for er verbs, an I for ir verbs, and then a u for re verbs. So yeah, that's how we do it with regular verbs. We do have a lot of irregular avoir participles, so I just recommend that you guys take a look at these and copy them down in your notes if you already haven't, because these do tend to show up in more than one tense. Remember with être, here are our conditional forms of être. And just remember, with être, we do have to have subject agreement, and these verbs do require, which means like the verbs do require agreement. So if you're feminine, you have to add extra letters to the end of your participle. So that can be a bit confusing. So here are our irregular être verbs. And we also have to deal with reflexive verbs. Reflexive verbs are always going to require être, and they also need to agree with our subject. So if we look at some examples here, the first one is pretty simple. We have I would have won. And since we have to remember with perdre, we have to remember what kind of verb it is. So perdre actually corresponds with avoir. So that's why we're using avoir and then perdu, because it's an re verb. So j'aurais or perdu. If we wanted to say something like we would have said, we have to remember that the verb rester corresponds with être, which means we have to say something like nous serions, which is the form of être in the conditional, and we have rester or rester. It just depends on what your subjects are, females or males. Our next one is you would have died. You have to remember we're with mourir. That one corresponds with être as well, so we have to use être here, which is our conditional form. We add that participle, and we can either have no e or an e at the end, just because we don't know who the subject is. And our last one here is she would have filled. We have elle aurait rempli. We use avoir here because rempli corresponds with avoir because it's regular. I hope this helps you guys. Make sure to review my other videos on the conditional and the passé composé to help you guys out if you have any questions.